This property report is powered by realestate.com.au. Know the value of your home today. Track your property now.
To property now, and with prices continuing to rise, the lockdown being extended in Melbourne and the latest interest rates decision, it has been an eventful week. Joining me now live from Melbourne is realestate.com.au's John Healy. John, good afternoon. Just how is the property market shaping up this winter compared to other years?
Well, the key indicators suggest that the winter market this year will be hotter than winter markets traditionally are around the country. Data from realestate.com.au shows preliminary sales volumes remain close to those from spring of last year, and buyer demand, of course, remains at near record levels as well. Of course, this week the RBA also left interest rates on hold at their record low of 0.1% and maintained again that they don't expect rates to begin rising until at least 2024. So with those record low rates and the certainty they're going to remain low, they're playing a factor in driving that buyer demand and the price rises that we've seen as well in the market. But we have seen, of course, the rates on some of the longer term fixed rate mortgages rise in recent weeks. In terms of stock levels this winter, well, it remains at near historic lows right around the country. So for those considering selling, the conditions do remain favourable this winter. But of course, for buyers, that lack of stock on the market and all that buyer demand means that they're going to be facing some really stiff competition in these cooler winter months. And of course, in Melbourne, the announcement of the extension of the lockdown here this week is already impacting buyers and sellers in the early days of winter at least. If that were to continue and extend beyond the current 2-week period, then it would be expected that the Melbourne market wouldn't be quite as active as it otherwise might be.
Yeah, and with Melbourne in lockdown, what did clearance rates look like in that city and elsewhere?
Well, despite Melbourne actually being in lockdown last weekend, hundreds of homes did get to auction, and many were brought forward to the Thursday night, but the majority of them would have moved online. The city returned a clearance rate of 93.8%, which is a very strong figure, so a very resilient number for the first weekend of lockdown, likely a result that many of the buyers had had the opportunity to already inspect the property before lockdown came into play. So a good number in Melbourne last week. Sydney hit an 89.4% clearance rate, the first weekend in Sydney in more than 4 months, where it had dipped below 90%. Still a very good clearance rate, of course, but under 90% now. But it did mean we had again, for the 5th week in a row, 3 capital cities above the 90% mark, with Melbourne, Adelaide and the ACT all above that mark.
Now, with the first weekend of winter sales upon us, what sort of auction numbers are we looking at around the country, John?
Well, there are currently more than 2,500 auctions scheduled around the major capital city markets this weekend. But of course, it will be interesting to see just how many homes do get to auction in Melbourne this weekend. Online, of course, as auctions are banned. There are currently more than 1,200 homes scheduled to go to auction in Melbourne this weekend, but that number is likely to be impacted. Sydney is expected to host 947 auctions, which is actually 10% up on its number last week. So a really good start to the auction season in Sydney this weekend. And Castle Hill is the auction hotspot in that city, with 13 homes expected to go to auction there. Brisbane expecting 141 homes. That's actually down 20% on its auction volumes last weekend. And Kangaroo Point is the auction hotspot in Brisbane, with around 5 auctions scheduled in that market. Numbers are fairly flat week on week in Adelaide, up slightly in the ACT, with Canberra again, the capital, the auction capital in the capital again this week, with 6 auctions scheduled there.
Now, just finally, Melbourne aside, what homes have been popular with buyers this week?
Well, the most viewed homes on realestate.com.au this week that are also going to auction are dominated by 4 and 3 bedroom homes around New South Wales and South Australia, of course, given the situation in Victoria. And if we have a look at the most viewed home now in Daniel Avenue in BAULKHAM Hills, this is a really striking home. It's a 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom home in a family-friendly cul-de-sac, only built in 2018, this home. It's on the market, going to market this Saturday. No doubt lots of buyers will be interested in this one. It's going to market late on Saturday afternoon in BAULKHAM Hills, which is around 30 kilometres to the northwest of the Sydney CBD.
Yeah, absolutely stunning interiors. Certainly will have a lot of interest, no doubt. John Healy, thank you for joining me this afternoon.